When things get hard, I push forward. That's all I knew for my life. To keep going, to survive. But sometimes the best move is perhaps to stop and pivot. Okay. This June, there was sort of a climax of different pressure points in my life, and everything was sort of put into this pressure cooker by the heat wave that has been going on. I've never experienced it like to this extreme in Switzerland, especially because I was in one of the hottest cities in our country, and I underestimated the circumstances of being in between concrete everywhere and how much it stores the heat and how little fresh air could enter my small apartment. The days, my days, had been filled with, honestly, a constant stress. The month already started with so much anxiety. I somehow wasn't able to post videos in May, which also meant that my income was kind of missing this month. And to be honest, without my YouTube income, it's just not enough right now to cover everything with my taxes. So yeah, that was kind of the baseline. And I'm someone who always likes to find solutions, and so I have been looking at jobs and applying to jobs, which to me is always such an involving process. It really takes my whole focus to imagine myself in a role and to put myself out there. I went to interviews during these days, and that just gives me anxiety in general, like this new situation. And then we also have the fact that more and more I feel burnt out again. I mean, this has been a long story. I don't really know. I think I've been more burnt out than I felt creatively fulfilled or fueled or inspired. But just recently, with the heat wave, my sort of studio office in my boyfriend's room was also inaccessible to me. And just, maybe you can tell, like, the pressure is mounting financially, and I had to make the videos, but I was just so done and so exhausted. And what I realized was also how this stressful time was another moment of survival, like quite clearly. And I had this realization that once again, I am forsaking my needs and my personal space to keep other things afloat. I was trying to keep my relationship afloat. We live together in my small apartment, and so I don't really have my own room anymore. And also my artistic expression. I keep having to act with a lot of external pressure, and there's not really freedom or joy in this process, right? So I think we can say suffocating was definitely the right word for coming home with anxiety of my apartment not having any air, but my apartment was the only place I could go where I was safe from the sun. and the heat, but it was still super hot. And honestly, I didn't feel like there was anywhere for me to go in the city. One thing was clear to me, and that's that I needed some fucking space. I was craving coming here to the countryside, escaping the city so much. Because what I've just been talking about of the suffocating feeling was also, for me, really this lack of having this personal space to process my stress, having sources of relief and sources of joy. And I did not have the capacity to think about how much the countryside could actually give that to me. So we came here, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and it was such a relief. The nature was such a relief. Of course, it's also dry here. Of course, it's also hot here, but it just feels so much more free. Like the air can flow so much more free, and I finally felt like I could breathe again. So I arrived, of course, into the Swiss countryside, surrounded by fields. But what I also walked back into is the room that used to be mine, that is now basically a storage room. And it's also been one of the reasons why it hasn't felt so comfortable for me to come back, because I don't have my own space here either. And I think that's when I came here, when I arrived, and my boyfriend was here too, I stayed a bit longer. We spent 1 day apart, and it was just dawning on me, what if instead of us renting a second room in the city, we were about to move the other room because it was just too hot, my boyfriend's room, too hot in the summer. The heating wasn't working in the winter. We were thinking of maybe getting a room that's a bit more outside of the city, a bit more quiet. But what if we don't do that and instead transform the room I have here into my personal sanctuary and into sort of the second home to balance our city life temporarily? I think our vision is to move somewhere together where my needs would be fulfilled, but also where it's accessible or more accessible to the city. So since we're not at that point, and since I need a solution now, I felt like this was kind of an idea that sparked, and an idea that on that one day where I was kind of spending time alone was really falling into place of, wow, this actually makes sense in a lot of ways right now for me. So yes, out of this, I want to make a cute room. It's full. Full of stuff everywhere. And bubbles, yeah. I'm taking back control over my environment, also my creative one. It's about building a sustainable framework for my work so that I don't keep running on empty. And a part of this is also realizing that I need a home for the things I make, for my art, that is not at the mercy of social media algorithms, a place that feels safe and that actually feels like me. And this is why I have been using Squarespace to rebuild my digital portfolio. And when you're at a point in life, like me, where there's a lot going on, whether you're rebranding or simplifying your life, I think the last thing we need is a platform that requires endless coding or complicated setups. With Squarespace's fluid design system, I can visually organize my projects, I can set up custom gallery layouts, and highlight my creative work in a way that feels calm and intentional and in my style. This, together with having everything in one space from SEO tools to built-in scheduling blocks, means that I can spend less time managing technical back-end friction and more time actually here, making art. So head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and once you're ready to launch, head over to squarespace.com/Yusuf for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So this idea of having a room here really excites me because it can give me this relief from the city and this balance and this space. Another topic is definitely that I have been sort of giving up my own personal apartment that I got, which is a 1-bedroom studio, to live with my boyfriend. And I realized a bit late how much that was putting pressure on me and how much I didn't have enough space. And objectively, it's pretty clear. It's healthy to have your own bedroom, to have a space where you can go into when you live with other people. And we didn't have that except for the bathroom, which was usually open. And so yeah, I realized I am done with that. Of course, we're still keeping that apartment, but I just need more my own space. I just need more alone time in a room where I can lock the door. So I was definitely also suffering by not having that. And having a room here could give me that. Having a room here could also give me back a quiet office space, because we do have an extra bedroom here that is already sort of an office. Like, I still have a lot of office/studio supplies here. And since this is what I mentioned before, since we wouldn't be renting another room in the city, my partner and I, we could save more money. And that's also, I think, a huge pressure in my life that would be taken off to a certain degree, and where I would be able to save some money. So I think that also translates once again into healing my relationship with work, with creating, and bring back some feeling of freedom and joy in my creation process. Here, is actually some inspiration that we can look at in a future video when it's more about transforming my room specifically, decluttering it. I look forward to see how the finished result is going to look compared to this inspiration, because I also don't really have a budget and I don't really want to acquire new things to decorate here. But that makes it honestly also more fun, because it forces you to be creative, which I love, and work with what you have. So come along for this journey of me rebuilding my life. This is also one of the topics that I really highlighted in my reset video, of rebuilding my life in a way that it supports my healing, and accepting where I am right now, accepting that I'm burnt out, accepting that I'm exhausted, and that I just need so much time and space and this connection with nature to heal. I'll probably see you next month with this, because in a couple of weeks I'm going to Italy, and I don't know how much of that's going to be like a vacation, because I have so much life admin to do, like to prepare for university, to just sort out my own things, financial things. It's also just a week off of work where it would be a great opportunity to get some stuff sorted. And then after that, I'm going to come back here and work on my room. This month, I'll probably see you in a podcast episode where I go a bit more deeper into this season of mine of acceptance and rebuilding, where I can elaborate a bit more on my thoughts, where I can yap a bit longer. So I'll see you around. Thank you for watching, and until then.